Welcome. In front of me I have a Doogee X97 Pro, and today I'll go over unboxing along with a quick overview of this phone. Now just quickly find a little tool to cut something. There we go. Now this phone was released over a year ago, so it was June 2022, so it is a little bit late, but hopefully someone will find this informative. So right off the bat, after we open it up, we got our device. The packaging here is pretty bare bones. Whoa. Okay. Kidding me? There we go. Okay, so the phone is already in a silicone case. We have a screen protector applied, just peel that off. Get a little bit of a limited warranty, some paperwork, SIM eject tool, a Type-C cable, which is pretty nice, especially for the price of this device, and a charger, which again is pretty nice for the price, though this charger will be absolutely garbage. I believe this is like a 10, yep, that's a 10 watts charger. You can see like right over here. So you might want to use a better charger for this, just out of like safety, considering this is pretty not safe looking. So here we got our device. Let's just peel that off without actually peeling off the other layer. Let's try that again. There we go. And some crap got under it. Great. Anyway, let's just turn it on. So, like I said, this device is pretty budget, so I'm gonna start with the price tag, which it comes at about 120 euros. So it's right at the bottom of the price ranges. It's super cheap. And because of that, we don't get like anything special on this device. We have massive bezels, which you can see right here and here. So these are pretty substantial, considering that this device was being released in 2022. So just to kind of measure those, we're looking at bezels of about 1.3 centimeters from both top and bottom. So yeah, these are pretty substantial, as you can see. Now just to compare it to like a more modern looking device, here's a, well, not a fair comparison, but these are the bezels that you typically see nowadays on a phone, on the sides and top and bottom. So yeah, you can kind of gauge the difference here. Anyway, so continuing with the specs now, let's start off with the cameras. So at the back we have a dual camera setup. One is a 12 megapixel wide sensor f1.8, and then the lower one is a 2 megapixel depth sensor, which is absolutely useless. Now if we flip it to the front, we have a 5 megapixel f2.2 wide sensor as our selfie shooter. Now with the back ones you can record videos at 1080p. I presume it's 30 frames, it's not really mentioned right here. And with the front one, 720p is the max you can do. So pretty low resolutions right here. Now, continuing on, the display right here. Not talking about the bezels. That's a 6-inch display with a resolution of 720 by 1440p. And we have a 74.6% screen to body ratio with 268 pixels pixel density right here. So that's to do with the resolution. It's a pretty low resolution right here, which is obviously common for like super cheap devices like this one. So that's okay, I would say. The typical like sweet spot right now for most of the devices is on 1080p with a about 400 pixels per inch. So this one is lacking a little bit. But like I said, the price is the key factor in here. Now moving on, the processor, this device is being powered by Helio G25 and comes with 4 GB of RAM, and that's the only like RAM version you have, and has a 64 GB storage built into it. Now we can also take off the case to see if we have any kind of expendable storage, which I presume we do. Okay, this one is a little bit too chunky. There we go. Yep, so we can pop in 2 different SIM cards and 1 SD card, each spot dedicated for its card. So we do have expandability, so if you need more than 64 GB of storage, you don't need to worry about it. Just pop in like a 0.5 terabyte SD card in here and you're good to go. And in terms of battery, right here we have a 4200 mAh battery, so relatively small battery for the size of this device. If I would have to kind of like say this, because phones like this size, of this size, I would typically be looking at like 5000 milliamps. This one, that's a little bit lacking here. But luckily, because of the super like low-end specs in here, meaning the processor, this processor won't be consuming as much power than, for instance, like a flagship processor like a Snapdragon or anything like that. So the 4200 might basically be good enough for everything and like the longevity of the battery, just because the processor won't need as much power to run it. And also another thing that adds up to the battery life is the fact that this device doesn't have any kind of high refresh rate. It's just an LCD IPS display with just typical 60 Hz instead of like 90 or 120, and even beyond some other devices have, which those will also add into battery consumption. So that's basically all the specs right here for this device. It's a pretty bare bones phone with, well, nothing really like special about it apart from the humongous bezels and a relatively low price tag. Obviously, it's a budget device, and at that price range it competes with a lot of other Chinese phones, Xiaomi, Realme, and all those other ones that produce phones at this price range that basically offer the same thing. So at the end of the day, it's more of what kind of flavor of the device you want, what colors, and just design wise. In certain cases, I will be honest, you will probably get a better looking device from something like a Xiaomi or Realme than you would get from this Doogee right here, which looks a little bit outdated. And obviously, when purchasing this device right now in like 2023, almost halfway through the year, you might want to look in other places, just because at this time this phone is already a little bit older, and for a budget device, buying already an outdated device is not necessarily the greatest thing to do, I would argue, because you're already buying a slow phone is slow by itself, and then you add the time to it, which makes it, even less powerful when it comes down to like running newer things which require more power from the processor, as an example. So you might want to look at some newer device if you have the choice at basically the same price range. Like I said, Xiaomi, Realme, those are pretty decent options to look for. They'll offer about the same, just will look a little bit better, and might have at the moment, if you're buying basically at 2023, a little bit of a better spec, a little bit faster device, just because they need to make a faster device to kind of sell it. But anyway, with this being said, hopefully you found this video informative. If you did, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and thanks for watching.